The Joe Rogan Experience.
Given that I think a lot of us sort of don't believe in anything that happened before Google.
Right. Imagine kids today. Imagine trying to describe to kids today what it was like to grow up without the internet.
Yeah, or not being able to reach people. You have to make extensive plans. And, backup plans. Well, if you're not there at this time.
Yeah, you used to have to yell. Open up your window and yell for your friends. I remember when I first got an answering machine. I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. When I was in high school, my family got an answering machine. And I was like, this is incredible. And you would leave like stupid music, like to let everybody know you were cool. Like you have some cool music, like, hey, it's Joe, not here right now, but if you leave a message, I'll get back to you, probably.
And then you've got like old people who are, I think someone in my family still has one of these cutesy messages from like the late 80s.
Really?
Yeah, on their voicemail. But then who leaves voicemail? And the thing that marks me as an old person is that I actually call people.
But I like that. I've been doing that more lately.
Yeah.
I call a lot of people now. I just feel like it's better. The texting thing, the problem is it's very interesting how we separated ourselves into this this electronic communication world where I will during the day be in communication almost constantly with a stream of people. The only thing that stops it is a podcast. Podcast is my rest. For 3 hours, I'm not talking to anybody other than you. So all those texts that come through, I'll get at the end of the podcast, I'll go and look at my phone. There'll be 40 texts sometimes. Like, this is madness. If I had to make 40 phone calls, it'd be impossible to manage. It'd be calls would constantly be coming in. You'd never really be able to say anything. So we're feeding into this weird loop where we just have these short form things.
Right.
Like, hey, dinner tomorrow? Sure, what time? How about 9? I can do 7. Okay, let's do it. You know what I mean? It's like these weird little bursts of information.
Did you ever see, remember this program, California, what was it called? Was it Californication?
That television show with the
David
X-Files.
Duchovny,
Yeah.
right. So there's this scene where he's having some really hot intergenerational sex, and this gal says like LOL, and it kills it.
She said it out loud?
She said it. She says LOL, and he loses total interest. There's no amount of heat in the moment that can compensate for the fact that she's using like verbal emojis.
Well, he needs to fucking get over that. Depends on how hot she is. And it also depends on how you say it. If she's really funny, she's like, LOL, and she's like being silly.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, I learned that from Jim Norton. Jim Norton will always say LOL. Like he'll say something really ridiculous and then say LOL.
Yeah.
But he's just mocking himself.
When you're over 50, it's intrinsically ironic.
Right.
But, in terms of this weird thing about islands of time, one of the things that we do is we have Shabbat dinner. And every Friday, no matter how atheist and militant people are against any kind of organized religion, they will leave us alone if we say we're going into Shabbat.
Oh.
And so there's this thing about like people will pester me in all sorts of situations, but if I invoke something that is vaguely religious, even Sam Harris probably wouldn't call me during that period of time. So I find that very interesting. Like, could you create a religion that was simply there to make sure that you had some time offline?
Yeah, I know if I text Ben Shapiro, I'm not getting a text back on Saturday
Ever.
until it's dark.
Yep.
But when it's dark, he texts you back.
As soon as there are 3 stars in the sky, there's Ben on Twitter. It's like, what did I miss?
That's so weird. It's so weird that people buy. I mean, on one hand, I think it's probably a really good idea to just take a break from all that electronic shit and just connect with humans in a very old school type of way. I think it's probably very good for you.
Or connect with yourself. I had this experience. I actually lived in Jerusalem for 2 years, and we landed in this Orthodox-run hotel, and on Friday night, everything shut down, like the textbook. And I then moved into an ultra-Orthodox neighborhood right on the boundary of a place where the secular and the Orthodox met. And what was really fascinating to me is I started telling people, you'd never think that it's great not to be able to find a restaurant or a nightclub, but it's amazing that this is enforced downtime. And about a month in, somebody said, oh, oh, you're in the wrong place. Of course you can go out on Friday night. You just go to the Russian compound and everything's hopping and you can go dancing and drinking and all these things. After I knew that, I went dancing and drinking, and I was much less happy than believing that somehow Israel actually shut down on Friday nights. And so very weirdly, I appreciated the constraint. As soon as I knew you could break the constraint, I was less happy, and I would never actually obey it anymore.
Yeah, I think having a rigid rule, even though it seems like counterintuitive in that like it would provide you some freedom by having restrictions, but it does. It gives you some freedom. Like, okay, like now we don't have to think about all these other things. So now we have the freedom to just be alone. Now we have the freedom to be relaxed. Now we have the freedom to just talk to human beings. You know, I think constraints, and it's like, do you know who Jocko is? Jocko Willink?
Totally.
Everybody knows Jocko. Discipline equals freedom.
Discipline equals freedom.
It doesn't seem like that makes sense. Like, this motherfucker's up at 4:30 in the morning, throwing heavy weights around, grunting and acting like a savage, running, goes out to the beach, and he earns the sunrise every morning. Goes out and takes photos, takes a photo of his fucking watch at 4:30, hits the gym like a savage, and then takes a photo sometimes of the sunrise, earning the sunrise. And but you would think, God, it's like a prison to like force yourself into that. But no, there's freedom in that, because he knows he doesn't have to make any decisions. At 4:30, he knows what he's going to do.
Knows what he's going to do.
You just go do it. And that way, I mean, you look at the guy, he's a fucking tank. Why is he a tank? Because he's always up at 4:30 fucking throwing weights around. It just doesn't, he never stops. He never takes self-indulgent time to lay in bed and beat off and pick his nose and then fucking check his text messages.
He's probably listening to this right now and thinking,
maybe.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that.
I don't think he does.
Really?
No.
Total discipline?
Yeah.
Well, I think I remember reading his inner dialogue about going to a birthday party and breaking down and having a scoop of ice cream or something, or a slice of pie. And it's like, the drama of, there it was. Temptation. I held out for 45 minutes, but eventually I became weak.
Yeah, I don't fuck with that. I just do it. If I'm in a party, I just eat that cake. I mean, I just feel like I do it enough. I'm all right.